I think maybe Holly's question. She mentions that she's getting conflicting information online about what Bhakti yogis and Vaishnavas consume, and I'm I'm imagining, and she mentioned vegan and vegetarian. I imagine the conflicting information may have to do with that, right? I'd
Yeah.
imagine there's certain people saying vegan is the only way if you actually are going to live an ethical life that's consistent with the care for
Cows.
animals and cows in particular, ahimsa in general, right?
Mm.
Ahimsa is a broad yogic principle that's considered to be essential for practicing yoga and essential for understanding truth, right? If you're going to be so callous as to not care for others, then you're not going to perceive the world clearly. And so ahimsa becomes important. So then the question is, okay, what does ahimsa look like in terms of our diet, particularly when we get to bhakti yoga, where there actually is a lot spoken about cows and Krishna and his affection for cows. How can you take dairy from the dairy industry as it exists now,
Mm.
which is very exploitive? It's really just tied in, not 100%, but probably like 98% or something like that of the dairy that's available is tied in with the meat industry. It's one industry.
Mm.
And so by consuming dairy, you are contributing to the suffering of cows. How can that be consistent with a bhakti yoga practice? Then on the other end, you can hear, no, like dairy is like, it's an essential, it's, I don't know, essential, but it's like, it's very much tied in to the practice of bhakti. You just read Srimad Bhagavatam. It's like, it's about cowherd boys and cowherd girls and the cowherd community
Right.
and all the offerings that are being, and this is a real important part, about, should be shared with Holly's, for to answer Holly's question. Offering the food is a very important part of this tradition, right? That we see everything as being a gift to us that we offer back to God, and we only eat it after that. And that we can get into a long answer about that, but let's just stick with
Mm.
this ethical question, I think. So, so how do you? Is it an essential part of the culture to consume dairy, to offer dairy, and make it part of the culture? Um, you could all add to that health wise, because in yoga, Ayurveda is like the you could say the health wing, that's of the yoga system. And there, it speaks about the glories, even the necessity and the magic, that is there in dairy products, in milk, in ghee, in yogurt, that all of these are really contribute to like a healthy lifestyle. So how do you balance the two? And my I have different views. Part of my views would like go to what you were saying, that if let's zoom out and try to understand, like, well, let me start here. I appreciate vegans and their ethical commitment, right? I appreciate that they say, I can't tolerate seeing animals treated this way, and I'm going to take this step. I appreciate that. As Raghu said, I kind of practice like him, that like I do eat dairy, but I try to minimize it. I try to get it from the best source possible, like the most ethically, um, consistent with bhakti source that I can find, right? Where the harm is minimized. I wish that we had farms, far more of them, and we had dairy farms, and we're making it far more available. I'll pay more money
Right.
to get ahimsa milk, and I also will support projects that are working to do that. Like the Govardhan Eco Village is a great place to do that, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I contribute to that. Um, but I also see that, zooming out, I also see that really, as you were saying, there's like almost nothing pure in this world, and I don't see veganism um, as an answer to all the problems.
Sure.
And that goes to what you're saying. You kind of hinted at it when you said, like, the original yoga culture, it had to do with a
Symbiosis.
relationship, a
Symbiosis.
symbiosis between humans and animals. saying that this is actually how the world is designed, right? That we're meant to work together.
So they need.
You provide them shelter, you provide them care, you take care of their hooves, you take
This is
care.
what
Yeah.
dominion over animals
Right.
means. Like I have dominion over my children. That doesn't mean I kill them or eat them. It means I
Right.
care for them. I love them.
Right.
So a Christian sometimes argues, well, it says in the Bible we have dominion. Dominion means love and stewardship and working symbiotically with them.
And here's the advantage to that, and where I see the veganism again, where I totally appreciate that ethical commitment from the broader perspective of an answer for the world's problems. If you do not live in this symbiotic relationship with the animals, because you see, it's not only that the animals, those cows will provide milk, and that milk, when you get the milk, not this horrible dairy industry milk, which kills all the nutrients in it, which the fear and the terror that the animal is feeling, manifests in the milk and becomes unhealthy. Where the animal to maximize profits is pumped with all kinds of horrible uh, chemicals and what do they call it, hormones, and they put, you don't have the real milk when
Sure.
you're at the end of it, but when you get it from a cow that's been cared for and loved, it's a very it's literally, it's like a miracle food. Ghee is like a miracle food, yogurt is like a miracle food. So the cow is providing the milk, but also the cows and the bulls are providing all the power that you need, the power you need to like plow your field, right? So the traditional yogic idea that goes back thousands of years, right, is that there's this symbiotic relationship between the animals and the humans. The humans are providing care and real genuine love. I mean, you see this in India, how people love the cows,
Yeah.
right? And the cows and the bulls are providing not only this miracle food in the form of real milk, but they're also they're providing all the power that they'll plow your field. If you need to move big trees to build your home, they're ready to do that. They're going to grind your grain. They're going to provide all that power. If you need clothes for your body, where do you get it? Again, it's because the bull plowed that field that you could plant your cotton, right? If you need lighting for your home, where do you get it? You get it from the castor oil. That again, the bull has made that possible. Whatever you need, pesticides, it's not chemicals that you go get. No,
Urine.
it's dung, urine that's providing these things. Fertilizers for, again, not chemicals, right? The cows just provide it. They do so much for you. Even like when you plow after you've like reaped the harvest, you get all of those, like the bottom of the stalk is down there in the ground.
Yeah.
It's hard to remove that stuff.
Hard to remove it.
You got a big huge tractor that's tearing up those tractors, especially the bigger and bigger that they get, they crush the land. They make it less fertile. Everything you're going to get out of it is less nutritious now, right?
And there's
But
and there's exhaust and there's diesel.
we'll get to that. But I'm just saying, like the cows with their little hooves, they don't crush the land like that, and they go and they eat all of those little stalks. They just take care of everything, and they're happy to. Whereas if you don't have the cows and the bulls doing that, you need the tractors. Now, once you're there,
You're in the matrix.
You've entered the matrix big time. Right now,
Yeah.
you need petroleum fuel. You need to drill into you need to keep. The point is this,
And they pitch these tractors. Look, you guys are doing 1 acre. Now you can do 10 acres.
we'll make a bigger tractor.
But the problem is, once they purchase that tractor, they own those horses, so to speak. Now they're in debt to a bank.
And the materialistic mind says, oh, the tractor is better, you can grow more, and you don't need 10 people to work this one plot, you just need one person.
Right.
But what happens is those other 9 people are now working in the petroleum industry and are now working in the factories to produce the tractors. It's like they had a beautiful life,
Sure,
out in nature, and now they have a horrible life living in some hellish factory. And so that's the point. I think when the change comes, we're going to see that veganism doesn't answer all these questions. Right? It's a beautiful commitment,
and it's reactionary.
It's
almost. You got to react because these animals are being so mistreated that you're like, no, we can't do this. We want nothing to do with the animals. Let them all free. I'm going to break in. Chickens, fly, go. But we don't fly. Just go out of here.
Okay, so all that being said, and as I was going to say, we could go into the issues of drilling oil and pulling all the oil out of it. You don't need that. You don't need that whole world if you learn how to love and work together and care for for the animals. So that is the, let's say, the ideal, right? The ideal yogic picture
Mm.
is that human and animals are working together. Humans are receiving the gifts of milk and grain and cloth and everything that they need, the lighting of their homes, the clothing of their bodies, the feeding of their bodies with food. It's all, and therefore there's such tremendous respect, for the cow and for the bull. So that's the ideal, right? That's the ideal. That is the lifestyle that we hear about in these ancient texts. It's not vegan, it's lacto-vegetarian, and it's a tremendous love and care coming from humans to animals and going back and forth. Um, but we don't live in that world, right?
Right.
And so the way that, and this is the point where, like, I would say that to be, there is an ethical question that comes up, and it's not one that should be ignored. Now, how people answer that ethical question in their own life, I think, is not necessarily for us to judge and argue about or criticize each other about, but it's for us to make an informed decision about and commit. And if someone is a vegetarian or a vegan, I've seen devotees criticize other devotees for being vegan. I've seen vegan devotees criticize other devotees for not being vegan.
Right.
I think these people are friends. They're not enemies, right?
Right.
They're all the way. They're both like way over, moving in a very positive direction. Let's not fight with each other. Let's unite and appreciate each other's ethical
Effort.
commitment,
Yeah.
whether we agree with it 100% or not. Let's appreciate
Why
that.
must we disagree and hate each other who are 1% different than me?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so the way I do it personally, it's similar to what Raghunath does. I try to get my milk from the best source possible.
And I hate him for that.
And and I try to get my milk from the best source possible. I contribute to projects that are trying to raise this consciousness and are trying to show examples of how to care and love for the animals and make that work, because I think that is the future.